Brothers and sisters walk in the path of purpose. Let me tell you something that will shift your mindset forever. Waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. isn't just about a restless night. It's not just your body tossing and turning, nor some random glitch in your sleep pattern. No. This is a divine interruption, a holy summons, a spiritual appointment. Between 3 and 5 a.m., the world enters a kind of sacred silence. The noise of the day hasn't yet begun. The traffic hasn't roared to life. The notifications haven't flooded your phone, and the demands of the world are still asleep. But heaven is wide awake. And if you're waking up during these hours, I want you to know, it's not random. It's not insomnia. It's a divine whisper. You see, most people are trained to respond only to loudness. They move only when life screams. But spiritual power is cultivated in stillness, in whispers. God doesn't always shout. In fact, he often speaks in quiet tones that only a still heart can hear. And the hour between 3 and 5 a.m., that's when the signal is clearest. When the static of the world fades, the divine frequency becomes unmistakable. Think of it like tuning a radio. During the day, there's so much interference. Your mind is crowded with messages, conversations, advertisements, opinions. But when the world sleeps, your soul awakens. The frequency becomes pure. That's the moment where ideas are not just born, they are revealed. There are ideas you've been praying for, answers you've been searching for, peace you've been craving, and it's all waiting for you in the whisper. The divine doesn't shout above the chaos. It invites you into the quiet. And when you're awakened at 3:24 a.m. for no logical reason, that's not a glitch in your body. That's a call from the Creator. Let me give you a simple, relatable picture. Imagine you're in a massive crowd trying to talk to someone you love. It's loud, chaotic, you can barely hear them. But if the two of you step into a quiet hallway, suddenly every word becomes clear, every expression becomes intimate. The same is true of your relationship with God, your higher self, your divine purpose. Sometimes he wakes you not because something is wrong, but because he finally has your full attention. And in that quiet moment, that divine interruption, the whisper carries more weight than the loudest sermon. One whisper from God can change the trajectory of your life. One whisper can download the strategy for your next move, reveal the hidden thread in your path, or unlock the creativity you've been begging for. But you have to be willing to listen. You have to stop seeing 3 a.m. as a problem and start seeing it as a platform, a place of divine encounter, a moment when heaven leans in and says, "Can you hear me now?" And what do most people do? They roll over. They check their phone. They distract themselves back to sleep. But a few, a rare few, rise. They sit with the whisper. They lean into the stillness. They open a journal. They pray. They listen. And those people, they don't just live, they lead. They don't just exist, they operate with divine insight. So let me ask you this. How many whispers have you missed because you labeled them as restlessness? How many divine messages have been lost in the noise of your own reasoning? Tonight, when the whisper comes, will you answer?
You've been searching for answers, looking for clarity, waiting for a sign. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you were truly still? We live in a world that worships motion. People wear busyness like a badge of honor. If you're not hustling, if you're not constantly doing, people assume you're falling behind. But what if the greatest breakthroughs don't come in motion, but in stillness? What if the insight you've been running after is actually waiting for you to stop? The early morning hours, all between 3 and 5 a.m., are not just quiet in the world around you. They are an invitation for stillness within. This is the sacred space where your spirit can breathe, where the noise fades and your inner voice becomes loud. Because spiritual insight is not found in chaos, it is found in calm. It's not discovered in striving, it's uncovered in surrender. You see, stillness is not weakness, it's not passivity. Stillness is a spiritual strategy. It's a bold declaration that you trust something greater than your own hustle. It's saying, I don't need to run to find what God has already placed within me. I just need to be still enough to see it. There's a verse that says, be still and know that I am God, not be busy and figure it out. Not be anxious and try to control everything. No, be still, because it is in stillness that knowing happens. Revelation is not forced, it's received. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine a muddy glass of water. When you stir it, the water is cloudy, murky, impossible to see through. But if you set that glass down and let it rest, eventually the sediment sinks to the bottom. The water clears. Now you can see. That's your mind. That's your spirit. When it's constantly stirred by worry, deadlines, comparisons, and fear, clarity is impossible. But in stillness, everything settles, and you begin to see with spiritual eyes. Now hear me. Stillness is uncomfortable, especially when you've built your life on movement. It will feel unfamiliar. You'll be tempted to reach for your phone, check your to-do list, scroll through the distractions, but the people who receive the deepest insights are those who can resist the noise long enough to enter the sanctuary of silence. And what's waiting in that sanctuary? Truth, direction, peace, power. While the world is chasing information, the still rise with insight. They walk with a knowing that cannot be explained, only experienced. They're not swayed by trends or pressured by time because they've been in the presence of wisdom. So here's your challenge. The next time you wake between 3 and 5 a.m., don't rush to fill the silence. Don't force action. Don't look for the next thing to do. Just be still. Let the muddy waters of your mind settle. Wait in the quiet. Listen without needing to hear anything specific. Just be. And in that stillness, watch what happens. Watch the revelation rise. Watch the fear lose its grip. Watch the strategy unfold, because when you stop striving, you start receiving. So I ask you, have you been too busy to hear the wisdom that's trying to reach you? What would happen if you simply got still? Success doesn't start at 9 a.m. Purpose doesn't punch a time clock. Destiny doesn't wait for you to snooze your alarm 5 times. The most powerful people you will ever meet, the ones who carry authority, clarity, peace, and purpose, are the ones who rise before the world. You see, waking up early is not just a habit. It's a mindset, a declaration, a posture of readiness. When you wake between 3 and 5 a.m., you are moving on a different rhythm. Not the world's rhythm, but heaven's rhythm. While the masses are still asleep, the leaders are already listening. While the world is resting, the visionaries are receiving. And when everyone else is reacting to the day, the powerful are already shaping it. This is not about becoming a morning person. This is about becoming a movement. Movements are not born in noise. They're born in quiet decisions made in dark hours when nobody is watching. And that's exactly where greatness begins, in the hidden hours. Look through history. Study the lives of the spiritually awakened, the radically successful, the purpose-driven. You'll find one thing in common. Their day starts before dawn. Their victories aren't a coincidence. They're a consequence of preparation. They don't just wake up to go through the day. They wake up to command the day. Let me give you a practical example. Think about a general before a battle. The troops are still resting. The sun hasn't yet risen. But the general? He's up. He's walking the field, studying the terrain, revisiting the strategy. In that moment, he isn't fighting. He's preparing. And when the battle comes, he's already 5 steps ahead. That's what the early hours are for. Not for reaction, for preparation. So why do the most powerful people rise early? Because they understand that time is the most valuable currency in the universe. And the time before sunrise is untouched, undistracted, and unrivaled in power. It's when your thoughts are pure, your heart is open, and your spirit is aligned. That's the time to pray with intensity, to meditate with depth, to plan with clarity. And every decision made in that sacred time becomes a seed that multiplies throughout your day. You don't rise early just to be productive. You rise early to be prophetic. You don't just organize tasks. You receive insight. You don't just chase goals. You align with divine timing. And when you do this consistently, your life begins to move in a completely different direction. You become magnetic, centered, unshakable. People begin to ask, how do you carry such clarity? And the answer is simple. You've already been in the presence of clarity before they even open their eyes. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. I'm saying it's necessary. You don't build strength in comfort. You build it in commitment. And every time you get up before the sun, even when you don't feel like it, you're telling the universe, I'm ready. Ready for more, ready for discipline, ready for destiny. So let me ask you, what could your life look like if you stopped waiting for the world to wake you up and started waking yourself up to the world God is calling you to build? So many people mislabel their spiritual awakening as a sleep disorder. They say, I don't know why, but I keep waking up in the middle of the night. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's anxiety, maybe I need to see a doctor. But let me challenge that belief right now. What if it's not insomnia? What if it's intimacy? There is a moment, usually quiet, often overlooked, when you wake up in the dark and feel wide awake for no reason. It's not because you're broken. It's because you're being called. You see, there's a difference between disturbance and divine pursuit. Sometimes God doesn't wait for your schedule to open. Sometimes he interrupts you at the hour when your defenses are down and your soul is open. That's not a glitch in your sleep. That's a whisper to your spirit. We tend to think of intimacy as emotional or relational, and it is. But spiritual intimacy is deeper than that. It's when heaven says, "Come closer. I have something for you." You don't receive that kind of call in the middle of a crowded room. You receive it when everything is still, when the night is quiet, when your soul can finally hear what your mind usually drowns out. That's intimacy. That's encounter. That's the divine touching earth and choosing you as the meeting point. Imagine this. You're a parent and your child is busy all day, running around, distracted, consumed by toys, games, activities. But at night, when the house is quiet and the lights are off, they crawl into your arms. That moment, silent, unhurried, vulnerable, is where the connection deepens. That's how it is with God. He's not after your hustle, he's after your heart. And when he wakes you at 3:11 a.m. or 4:22 a.m., it's not because you need less sleep, it's because he wants more of you. But what do most people do in those moments? They look for distractions. They scroll through their phones. They tell themselves, "I need to fall back asleep." And they miss it. They miss the sacred invitation into intimacy, into guidance, into love. But those who are tuned in, those who recognize the pattern, they start to respond differently. They rise quietly. They go to their quiet space. They pray. They journal. They weep. They listen. And in return, they receive secrets not revealed during daylight. They receive direction the world could never give. There is a level of clarity that only comes from communion. There is a kind of peace that only comes from presence. And there is a kind of strength that can only be birthed in the arms of God in the stillness of night. You have to stop viewing this as a problem and start seeing it as a privilege. You have been chosen to commune. You have been interrupted because your spirit is sensitive. You are being entrusted with more because you've been made ready to carry more. This is not punishment, it's promotion. But here's the catch. Intimacy can't be rushed. You can't check off time with God like it's a task. You have to be with him. That takes patience, stillness, vulnerability. And if you're being awakened in those sacred hours, the call is clear. He wants you close. Not just productive, not just presentable, but close. So now I ask you, will you keep calling it insomnia, or will you answer the invitation to divine intimacy?
There is a place that no one can take from you. A space not made with hands, not found in buildings, not broadcasted on stages. It is the secret place, the sacred chamber between your soul and your source. And when you are waking between 3 and 5 a.m., that's not just a random disruption. That is your key. That is your access code into the realm where secrets are revealed and power is born. The secret place is where kings are made, where leaders are forged, where clarity replaces confusion and fear is melted in the fire of divine presence. It's not a physical location, it's a spiritual posture. It's the moment where heaven meets earth in your heart and eternity whispers truth into your now. But here's what most people don't understand. The secret place doesn't compete for your attention. It doesn't shout. It waits. It's patient. It will not barge into your schedule. You must enter it intentionally. And the early morning hours are its open door. You see, when God wants to elevate you, he doesn't just change your surroundings. He changes your meeting place. He calls you into deeper chambers, into a place where the noise of the world cannot follow. And do you know why so few access it? Because it requires sacrifice. The secret place is hidden behind surrender. You have to be willing to give up the comfort of sleep for the fire of intimacy. You have to trade the warmth of the blanket for the warmth of revelation. It costs you, yes, but what you receive in return is priceless. Let me paint a picture. Imagine a great palace. In the center, there's a throne room, but around it are layers of doors, public halls, guarded chambers, and then the private room where only the trusted are allowed. That's the secret place. It's not where everyone gets to go. It's where the ones who are willing to rise early, knock quietly, and wait patiently are welcomed into the confidence of the king. And here's what happens when you enter it. You stop reacting and you start ruling. You stop fearing and you start knowing. You stop striving and you start aligning. Because in the secret place, you don't just feel God. You receive from him strategies, healing, insight, correction, power, and most importantly, identity. When you begin your day in the secret place,
You don't walk into the world looking for approval. You walk in carrying authority. You don't chase opportunities. You attract them. Because people can sense when someone has been with God. There's a different weight, a holy confidence, a peace that doesn't break under pressure. And this is why you've been waking up. Not to worry, not to overthink, not to scroll, but to access the throne room, to sit in the presence of the one who already sees your whole path and is waiting to guide you through it. If you'll come close enough to listen. So I ask you, how long will you wait for an open door while ignoring the one that opens every single morning between 3 and 5 a.m.? There is a calling on your life that is louder than the noise around you. There is a divine purpose that has been placed in your heart, and it is waiting to be heard. But here's the truth. You won't hear it in the chaos. You won't hear it in the distraction. You won't hear it in the noise of your everyday life. The call is too precious for that. The call is too important to compete with the world. But here's the good news. When you wake up between 3 and 5 a.m., you step into a unique silence. The world hasn't begun to shout yet. The traffic hasn't roared. The phones haven't pinged. The schedules haven't pressured. In that quiet, in that sacred space, the voice of your calling becomes louder, clearer, more undeniable. What happens when you're in silence? Your mind becomes uncluttered, your heart becomes untangled, and your spirit becomes sensitive. In that sacred stillness, you can hear the deepest call of your life. It's not distant, it's not vague, it's as close as your breath. It's that quiet whisper, that nudge, that sense of purpose rising from within. And when you're awake in the early hours, you're not just waking your body, you're waking your soul to the divine agenda that's been waiting for your attention. This isn't just a random desire, this is purpose, this is destiny. And most people miss it because they're too busy listening to the noise. They're too busy chasing after what everyone else says matters. But you're called to listen to the voice that no one else hears, to follow a path that doesn't make sense to the world but feels absolutely right in your spirit. Let me illustrate it like this. Think about a musician who has been given a beautiful symphony to compose. The music is there, in their mind. The notes are already written in their soul, but they can't hear it because there's too much external noise. The honking horns, the people talking, the distractions of the day. But when they find the quiet, the space where they can sit alone, focused, and still, the melody becomes clear. The instruments fall into place, and the music flows without effort. That's your calling. It's already there. It's already waiting. But the distractions of life drown it out. And in the stillness, you begin to hear the symphony of your life. The purpose that's been designed just for you. The moves you need to make. The people you need to serve. The legacy you're meant to leave. Now let me ask you, how many times have you felt confused or lost, trying to figure out what you're meant to do with your life? How many times have you heard the noise of the world drowning out that still small voice? I'm telling you, the answer is in the silence. It's in the quiet of the early morning hours. That's where clarity is birthed. That's where your calling finds its voice. When you're able to step away from the distractions and truly listen, your purpose becomes undeniable. And here's the power of it. The world may not hear it at first, but you will. And when you begin to walk in that calling, something incredible happens. People begin to notice the peace in your steps. They begin to notice the authority in your actions. You won't be chasing after success. It will chase after you. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you truly embraced the quiet and listened for the call that's been waiting all along?
There is a power in routine, a sacred power. But this is not just any routine. This is a sacred routine. This is the kind of routine that aligns your spirit with your destiny, the kind that creates a rhythm in your life that is in sync with the purpose you were born to fulfill. And it all begins in the early hours. You see, many people underestimate the power of consistency. They think the only thing that matters is big, grand gestures, those massive breakthroughs that seem to come out of nowhere. But the truth is, real change happens in the small, consistent choices. It happens when you show up every single day, even when no one is watching. It happens when you create a habit of awakening before the world, when you consistently rise and meet God before you meet the demands of your day. The early morning hours between 3 and 5 a.m. are sacred not because of what you do in them, but because of how you show up. You're not rushing, you're not chasing, you're entering a space of intentionality. You're creating a sacred rhythm that will carry you through the entire day, and the more consistently you do this, the more you start to see the fruit of it in your life. Now, I want you to think about something. How many successful people, how many spiritually powerful people have a sacred morning routine? The answer is almost always the same, all of them. Whether it's prayer, meditation, reflection, exercise, or simply sitting in silence, they begin their day with purpose. They take the time to align their spirit, their mind, and their body. And this routine, this sacred time, is the foundation of their power. Here's the truth. Your routine doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be intentional. When you wake up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., don't rush into your day. Don't immediately start thinking about what you need to do. Instead, start by grounding yourself. Start by breathing deeply and acknowledging the presence of God. Start by journaling the thoughts that come to you, praying for guidance, and listening for the whispers of your calling. This routine doesn't just shape your day, it shapes your life. It creates momentum. It builds confidence. It grounds you in peace. And when you live with this kind of sacred rhythm, it's no longer about what you're doing. It's about who you're becoming. Imagine this. Every day you wake up, and instead of feeling scattered, anxious, or overwhelmed, you rise with purpose. You begin your day with clarity. Your mind is calm. Your spirit is focused. And no matter what happens throughout the day, whether it's meetings, challenges, or distractions, you remain centered. You remain grounded in the truth that you are walking in your purpose, aligned with your calling, and prepared for anything. But the key to it all is consistency. It's showing up. It's creating a sacred space every single morning where you allow yourself to be filled, renewed, and realigned. And over time, you will see the power of this routine unfold in your life. Your relationships will improve, your decisions will become sharper, your actions will flow with divine wisdom, and the success you've been striving for will start to show up, not as something you chase, but as something you attract. The question is, are you ready to build a routine that honors your calling? Are you ready to rise early, to step into the sacred, and to transform your life from the inside out? Your destiny isn't waiting for you to figure it out. It's waiting for you to show up. The early mornings are your invitation. Will you answer?